There we go. We are on for session 0 of Red Markets. We did part 1 of session 0 last week after we reviewed Numenera, but this week we will be continuing it as we make our characters and figure stuff out. Now, we actually shouldn't start with character creation because we never finished
We did
our...
not finish our Enclave.
Yeah.
So
We should do
I
that
have where
first.
we left off. There's only 3 more. Hold on, I have to mute myself because I had the stream open. And I hate my voice. So um, we have social structure left to do, neighborhoods, and then VIPs. And then we can get to character creation. And then we'll do the 2 hardest things last, which is naming our characters and then naming the crew.
Yep.
Strong approval.
Okay.
And then we'll do the typical like lines and veils talk.
Yep. Then that'll probably be the whole thing.
Probably want to do that last or first.
I don't
choice.
telling me I'm live.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's mostly because I'm not exactly sure. I'm still trying to get a sense of what all is involved.
Is there anything that we want to do for lines and veils before we do character creation or on?
I mean, yeah, body. Not so much for character creation things, but let no one make a body horror themed character. We don't need any.
Yeah, we don't need Zen's previous character in this tone. Because this tone would be a very different type of character.
Wild and wacky sci-fi world, but when you're ripping bits off of our friends, it's a bit much.
Yeah. No detailed abattoir scenes.
No. I need lots of gore onomatopoeias, please. All of them. Squelch and glush.
Yeah, I think honestly, now that you say that, Adam West Batman violence should be fine.
Yeah, gore and me not get along.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get like.
I want big pow scenes as it's baseball batting a zombie instead of brain splashes.
Yeah, it'll be like pow kablam, and if a zombie bites you, it'll be munch.
Yeah, if you shoot a zombie in the head, there's just a hole in the head, and then it collapses, and that's it. There's no.
This is
good to be streamed in Australia. Pow sign, and then the zombie's on the ground.
Yeah.
Or bang.
Yeah, I think sort of inherently there's a little bit of body horror stuff. Like, I think sort of I already forgot their names. Not immunes.
Latents.
Latents are almost sort of like you're kind of like a walking body horror, right? You're just sort of like gross.
What is the specifics for what that even looks like? Is it black veins or?
It's like black veins. You don't like have any protrusions or anything. It's just you're black veined.
Oh, they're grayscale. The latent characters are in grayscale, and
you just look gross.
Yeah,
that should be fine. I suspect.
We can just call them gross.
I think, as I mentioned before, there's an aberrant called the ganglia, which is just make zombies a rat king.
Gross.
Yes.
And there's also a child zombie thing, which
there's that
which
too.
we talked about.
Yeah.
But the child zombie is like a person.
Like, are you saying they're sentient?
They're like hat, and then they shoot zombies.
No, it's I forget what they're called, and I'm holding my page right here. But basically, because they're infected so young. Hold on, I gotta spray the cat. Get off the table. So
the actual answer is to get the cat their own little table.
Yeah, their own little computer and table, and stream it, and the cat will pretend to be a streamer, and they're actually.
I'll make money off the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Zen said, page 118 has a picture of a latent who is. I think this is Banhammer. He's like, you don't need to know the lore. He's just one of the moths. But yeah, the like child aberrant, it's because they were infected so young. It's like kids learn really quickly, so that sort of applied to the zombie, and they make other zombies smart around them. Like they can move like more intelligently.
They can open doors.
They can open doors. They can set traps, but they can't like shoot guns or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I guess that does open up the question of child violence. It's a zombie.
Yeah, so if we don't want, like, aberrants, it says in the book, like, these are things that aren't confirmed or denied. Like, you can not have aberrants in your setting if you want. Or
I
if you
like
do,
aberrants in general. That specific one, I just might like want them to be
I've
a
already
bit
had an
older.
idea. I've had an idea for, like, if we want to use that one specifically, we just change. It's not a kid, it's like something else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just simply age it up, and then suddenly we have
Age
no
it up.
issues.
It's
We
a
also
teenage
don't.
zombie.
Yeah, we also don't need a lot of zombie details.
Yeah,
that's true.
I will be fine with. And then there are zombies. We don't need 5 guys in red jackets with little target name tags come pushing. We don't. I don't need a character description on the zombies.
Right.
I
think that should cover a lot of the, like, what do we do with, how do we handle these things with zombies? They're just are zombies, or they're not zombies, and that's about the bulk of the...
I am intrigued. I do like the idea of a variety of zombies. Because I've seen sometimes what can happen when it's just zombies being zombies, and they're not really an enemy so much as just an environment, which if they're used that way can be interesting. But it also, to me, the idea of these are zombies and they could be regular zombies, but there's also the possibility that there's an intelligent one nearby and they're more intelligent than they seem, and there's even just the idea that there are variants in the setting means that zombies themselves always have that element of they could be more dangerous than they seem.
Right.
But the description there could be, hey, look, this zombie seems more intelligent. Ta-da!
Yeah. So I know there's another aberrant listed that is like, they don't try and eat you zombies. They're just like the mailman zombie. It's just constantly putting the mail in the mailbox.
The
right? And then that one
repeating a
causes...
task from when they were alive zombie.
Yeah, and that's like a self-control check, right? Like it tells you in the book, like, do a self-control, because like that's fucking creepy.
So yeah, self-control is basically a sanity check.
Yeah,
essentially
it's
a sanity
it's a
check,
steel test in a way.
So there are 3 basically like mental tracks. Let me open up my test ban just so I have a character sheet to look at. I believe
this is totally unrelated, but that'd be a really good angle for, like, virtual reality simulation stuff. Just make it all steel checks. Like, if like in some cyberpunk setting game, anything it's just only steel checks on the internet. There are no other... like, when you're in, you're in. It's just about willing your brain through it.
Yeah. So they're called the 3 different threat tracks. So when you roll a self-control check, you're either rolling for detachment, stress, or trauma. Detachment is literally detaching from, like, your workers, your coworkers around you. So, like, if, let's say, someone leaves someone else behind, that's a huge detachment hit. Like, oh my god, like, fuck humans, right? Stress is literally just stress, right? So if you go, I think there's a mechanic where if we were doing you have to no budget, no buy, or if you don't budget for it, you can't buy it. And if you fall below that threshold, you stress about having to pull money out of your bank account to pay for things.
Wait, banks still work?
It's a bank account, quote
unquote.
Oh,
okay.
And then trauma is literally if you see someone get, like, destroyed, like trauma against you or seeing trauma, right? And then that could be, we could make that more like a veil too. Be like, oh, I don't want to get squished. Squish bad.
Yeah.
And crack, crumble, and break and again, I didn't read the whole thing, but it's like different stages where there could be a different severity.
Yes. So when you crack, the first time you crack on a humanity track, you either fight, flight, or freeze. And you do that, you choose in the moment, like, let's say you crack on detachment, you can flight and just run away. You run away in the scene, right? But if you crack on stress, you can't flight for that next detachment, right?
Okay, so you pick one, you can't do the next time you crack, you can't do that one.
Right. You do all 3. If you crack on all 3, then when you crumble, I don't remember what it is, but it's different, right? There are different stages. And then if you break, your character literally mentally breaks, and then they're done being a
No
character.
longer being a player character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like it's like
how
maxing out your 4 traumas kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like that.
and how combat focused is this gonna be?
That's a fair question. Yeah, is the focus scarcity or zombies?
I can leave that up
But
to
even
you. We
with
can try
but
both.
even with either one of those features, if the focus is scarcity or zombies, the combat seems like a different dial than that, like the scarcity to zombie slider.
Mhm.
Because both of those issues can be addressed with combat, and both of
Yes.
those issues can be addressed without. So I was just wondering how combat focused of a vibe we're feeling, because I'm feeling light on the combat focus, because that feels like, honestly, that just feels like very Walking Dead-y. Like that's kind of their whole gimmick. We're going to
To a degree, I think this is going for a very similar feeling, at least in the
smash through
moment-to-moment
all of
play.
the zombies.
I think the big question is, what will jobs end up looking? Because if, hey, here's your job, and really the only feasible way to get any job is you're gonna have to combat at all time every leg whenever you get a random encounter, there's just no real way around it.
Mhm.
No matter what we do, it's gonna be a combat focused game. But I'm also not necessarily here to say let's all jump into the combat feet first.
I
Right.
see combat as inevitable, but usually a last resort, but it will inevitably happen at some point, is the way I see it.
Mhm.
I kind of view this kind of like it's not really the same in many other ways, but I would view it a bit like Stars Without Number, which is to say, combat came up semi-frequently, but it was often after other things have already failed to solve the situation. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's what I
So
imagine this to be, but I don't know for sure.
from my understanding, there are some things that, like, I'm gonna try and run it where you don't need to fight if you don't want to, but there are some things where in the book it says you have to balance risk versus reward. So, um, like, let's say there's a random encounter where you find a shed that could have a lot of cool stuff, but there's a lot of zombies around it. You could fight the zombies, or you could just not take what's in the shed, right?
Yeah. Or we could try to sneak in, and if we fail, we still have to fight the zombies, but from a worse position or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
There is another aspect to this in the main mechanics of how the game works, right? Because when you're doing a skill check, you have to roll under your rating.
That
When
is
you're
if you are defaulting, you roll under your potential, but if you have the skill, you just want um I they're economic terms, so let me just
Better than the run of the 2 dice.
you want to be in the black, right? You want black to be higher than red.
Yes. And the black gets the bonus, but that's still, yeah, not huge.
Yeah. There are some things like if you're running, you could spend rations to add more pluses to your die, but there are some things where no matter how many rations you eat, you're not going to be able to just like pump rations into it, right? Same thing
Yeah.
goes for if you want a headshot, doesn't matter how many bullets you shoot, if you need to be accurate, you got to shoot it one bullet.
You
How
can spend rations to make your machete roll better.
yes,
Yes. Technically yes, because it's in the fiction, it's oh man, I'm so glad I ate those 4 protein bars before this fight.
um
It sort of like abstracts it more.
how does this game treat failure? Is my other question. Is it sort of Burning Wheel-esque, where failure still moves the fiction forward? Or is it more like nothing happens and you lose resources, which is sometimes what Torchbearer does, sometimes not?
hmm So in the book, it says to if nothing happens from failure, then don't roll for it. Just let it happen. So
Okay, then
something will
yeah.
happen. We'll keep it going. I think it says specifically if you start a game and no one knows like what jobs are around, if you make them roll uh, awareness and they don't, and no one makes it, then it's like okay, now we're stopped. Like there's no jobs. But so it's more make people roll when there is something on the line and you can either gain or lose something from it.
Okay.
and there is, I think they call it success at a cost, something like
Yes,
that,
there
where if
is.
you fail a roll, you can petition to succeed as long as it costs you something.
Okay.
Yeah. So the main one I know from that
So
is
devil's bargain, basically.
Yeah. So you have as many references as you have dependents. And a reference is just like if you go, I want to learn more about the job site, right? You roll research and you fail. But you can go, hey, I know a guy who knows about this job site. And then we'll have a little scene where that person helps you out. But then you owe them one bounty. You could choose to pay them back after this job or later. But if you choose later, then they will take up that reference slot. And then they'll go from needy to strained and then to severed, which means like you can't ever call that person again.
Yep.
But
Okay.
basically they're just open slots until you fill them, and then once they are paid off, then the slots open again.
Okay, so the references are not pre-filled; they're filled after you use them.
They're filled after you use them, and then once that person is paid back, that reference slot is open again for anyone else.
Sweet. Okay. So, anything we want to talk about before we finish our Enclave? Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Does it specify that there are no supernatural powers in this world?
You can
Do you
believe
want
you
to
have
be a wizard?
superpowers.
Are there rules that say otherwise?
I would have to look more specifically, but you do not have magic. You could just be really good with a gun or your fists or something.
I'll make it work. How open-ended are these skills again?
There's this predefined list, I believe, except for profession. Then you can fill in what your profession is.
I found my skill to mess with.
I think the profession, is it profession, or I know there's like a thing about
Yeah, specialties.
specialties. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I have 2 skills then.
Let's see here. Okay,
So-
skill points. So if you were to have profession X skill, the first point is 1-to-1, so you spend 1 point to have profession superpower. not really superpower, but profession like electrician.
Cultist. It's cultist.
Cultist. Okay. Profession cultist 1, and then if you want 2, you would need to spend 2 more points. And then if you want profession cultist 3, you would need to spend 3 points.
Yeah.
I just think
And
that
it's
by the
also
time
limited
you
by your
become a professional cultist, it's no longer technically a cult. Except in
You're just really
behavior,
good at
maybe.
making cults.
No, it's
I'm
a
really good
small
at doing.
business. Small
I'm
businesses
really
can
good
have
at doing the
professions.
job
suppose
of a
so.
cultist.
I just think I'm playing around with the definition of profession as you're like getting paid enough to do it as your main thing.
Yep. Cults hire me out to run rituals. It makes sense.
You're a freelance exorcist.
Let
The opposite, but yeah.
Fun.
I'm trying to find if there's like a skill that, like if it says like what professions, mechanics,
What's
profession
the
X.
other? Yeah, there's profession X, and then what's the other one? There's specializations.
So some gear has specializations attached to it, right? So in order to use a sword, you need the melee sword skill, and that is tied not only to your melee skill but to your
Strength.
your strength.
Yep. Either way, I think we can do Enclaves first. Finish our Enclave first, and then talk about our characters.
Yes. Okay. Let me just. No. Okay. All right. So we left off on social structure. First question: how does your enclave govern itself? Is it a general democracy or some sort of representational compromise?
I did have a suggestion. It
I'm
Lots
kind
of whoever's the loudest.
It was the homeowners association.
See, now that we have tourism being a specific thing, we have some kind of like, yeah, tourism board or something like that.
So kind of like a council system.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that equitable. It's not that like fair.
How do you get on council
That's
system?
the thing. I don't
Yay.
know if you can.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Someone dies. That's how you get on the council.
Yeah, it's not like an elected council. It's so less like democratic council and
It's
more
the
like
board appoints their
oligarchical.
own. Yeah, the board chooses who's on the board.
When the Enclave first came together, they're like, yes, we were here first, so we're in charge, and...
It's probably something like that.
It could also be
the
something
first
like,
come, first serve council.
it could also be something like rabbinical, where we just like, no, they're smart, they should do it. Like,
Yeah.
we just found the smartest people in town.
It's that. It's some people. It's. I don't think there's a specific system for determining it. There's not enough people for that, really. There's 100 people at most.
There is a system of enforcement of council duty. Like if most people think you're smart enough to fill an empty seat on the council, you can't back out.
Oh, you're like, you get drafted into the council?
Yeah, and then you're on.
Okay, but I think the council is the one who has to draft you. It's not pure pressure from other people or things like that. It's the council has chosen you to join them.
Yeah,
or the board. I still prefer the board.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, the board puts out the list of like who's on the board, and if someone is removed off the board, they appoint someone. They put out a new list, and if your name's on the list, you're a member.
You're expected to be at the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Period.
But by the community expects you to be on the board member. It is
social enforcement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this lifetime appointment, or can someone be kicked off of the board?
I think you can be pulled off.
You can be like pulled off by your name is no longer showing up on the list, but it's.
But you're on the people that make the list. Then I think
exactly. So it's very hard. We basically need everyone else to like veto you being on the board. Basically,
I think it's closer to like a coup to get off the board without dying, where people have to literally pull you out of a meeting.
What do you mean without dying? This is still a small community. I don't think it's like that.
They don't kill you. Every other board member drags you out of the room.
I meant zombies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, death by other means. Yeah.
Not like if I leave, they'll kill me.
Yeah, not like that, but
only one way out of the tourism board: a pine box.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
You're gonna be with the board one way or another on this council seat or in a board box.
I have an idea, which is to say that the only people who have left the board without dying were people who have managed to make enough money to just go back across the wall, and they're probably the people like. The people who have been on the board are probably more likely. They're the top of the bottom here, so they're probably in the best position to have gotten the money to do that. That's probably also why there's this like attention on who gets to go on the board, because that's the first step for a lot of people to leave.
When you, I don't know why my brain went to this place, but when you said, so it's like every time there's a board meeting, they'll put up like a piece of paper that says like, here are the board members that are part of this meeting, and it's normally just the same people. So I'm imagining like a high school like theater department, the kids waiting outside.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yep. Because it's always the same people, except there's usually like every few times there's one change, and everyone talks about that one change every few weeks.
Here's a question. Is the board a paid position? Because you're spending your time dealing with these problems, does the community basically say, okay, we're going to actually give you some sort of income for this? Or is it, no one wants to be on the board because it means they don't have time to do anything else?
I would say yes, the board is a paid position because the board says it's a paid position. But also it's not obviously predatory because there's not enough to be that predatory in the first place.
I mean, or no, but lunch is provided?
Yeah, is it more so?
Join the board, free donuts.
So is the board like a position that you hold until the next board meeting, or is it like here's the people that are coming together for this meeting to decide what we're doing, and then they go back to whatever they were doing before?
Yeah, I don't think
the latter. They do go back to what they were doing before. They still have the rest of their day job. But also,
I don't think there's enough people to do like full time.
But also, despite that, I still think like you are considered a member of the board, and officially, the board can change as much as it wants to every time there's a meeting, like whenever the next list is posted. Unofficially, though, it never changes except for a couple, like every so often when someone leaves or dies or gets recruited in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a
Post
semi-permanent position. Like, it's considered permanent, but it's not like it's permanent's a hard word. It's
Everyone writes their own name into the next meeting, basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird that this question comes up here and not after we decide like how work share works here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
'Cause if
that's
we
even. Was that
decided
one of the
that
questions?
Work share isn't even really a question, right? Because we sort of
Really?
made this a smaller enclave, right? So typically, I think in the book it imagines like the different like neighborhoods as uh oh, these are like the more cultural elites, these are like the people
I
who
can't
do most
imagine
of
a
the
zombie
other
enclave
stuff.
that large, though. At least I've never seen one in zombie fiction.
Mhm.
Really,
It's like small town size, right?
I think in the book they're a little bit larger. I don't know if they're
They're
over 100
larger.
people, but
Yeah, I think our enclave, like the main area is the airport and stuff, but I think we represent a few like homesteads around the lake too.
that could be
mhm.
it. Yeah, because
That's
yeah, to me,
part of
enclave
where,
is just like single building enclave or single. It's I don't.
yeah,
I
we
never
have the
Oh,
interpreted it as a
mhm.
neighborhood
yeah,
or a
we have
town.
like the main fortress, but then also there's like homesteads around the lake that are part of our like little community. Like not all the fishermen live
Okay,
at the
so
airport.
this is more
They
like Last of Us 2 enclave than
Yeah, I think
State
it's
of
more like
Decay
that.
enclave, where it's a single
Mhm.
building.
Yeah.
There's one main building that everyone has access to, and a lot of people live around, but also not everyone. People live in little homesteads around the lake. A few people live on houseboats. They're not all rentals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's
Uh,
probably a little bit of tension between that because are you really protecting that hut on the other side of the lake as well as we're protecting this area?
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what they argue about a lot of board meetings.
Yeah, they probably want like patrols going around, but it's like, okay, Tim, go do a patrol, right?
Yeah, it's the more patrols we do, the less security there is here, and we have to make sure this place is secure. Or the tourists stop coming. This
Yeah.
whole thing.
I know I mentioned the actual play from the designer before, but I think Enclave, in the sense of what I think the book is trying to say, is slightly larger than one building, could be a couple buildings, because in that they were set up in an architectural college where they were doing the like cargo containers, and that was also part of their walls because they were doing like they said before the crash they were doing like a sustainability using cargo containers sort of living. So one of the neighborhoods there was like the workers who were part of that, like the construction workers. There
Okay.
was the administration from the college, and then I think they had sort of like parents of students who were there that like fled
Yeah.
to the college, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
so I guess campus is probably the best
Yeah,
real world
Yeah.
alternative
equivalent.
to
Okay.
enclave.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, do we want like does it ask what neighborhoods or things like that?
We have a
You
couple
say
more
that, but
questions for you.
my frame of reference for a campus, like I went to a school with 62,000 students.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Like my school is like,
That's
oh,
that's
it's gonna take me 45 minutes to walk across campus, and
well,
that's
that's what
like
I'm saying.
fast walking.
In this game, they assume that you took over like Google HQ and made it an enclave. Like it's huge.
And to me, that's too
It holds a
big.
lot of people.
Yeah. So the next question for social structure is it a monarchy, socialist ideology, or total anarchy? This is sort of like
Near
not
anarchy, but not quite.
it's
It's
near anarchy, yeah.
It's like anarcho syndicalism. Like
I
there's
mean, we
groups
don't even
and
really.
goals.
What power does the council even have to enforce itself aside from the fact that we all say yes, do what they say?
that's how political
Yep,
power tends to work. But
Yeah.
that's
yes,
how it works. We've
Agreed. That's how
described it.
this works.
We do not have we don't have cops.
we have one sheriff
Yeah, we
unofficially.
have
Hold on.
like one person who says they're the sheriff and like goes around and like yells at you for stuff, but that's about it. You can kind of just ignore them.
Yeah.
Is he someone you can just ignore?
Because everything revolves around money, I wonder, like, okay, is he getting paid for that? What's his day job? How is he surviving this if no one listens to him and it's not actually appointed?
In one hand, as we are not regular job workers within the Enclave, I'm not super concerned over how they get paid.
Yeah, I think they're not paid in. You guys are paid in bounty, which is sort of an abstraction of. Typically, it's ID cards that you get from casualties to prove that this person is dead. Therefore, their next of kin or whoever the government
Will
can
pay.
claim their property.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess in the Enclave, we could just have it be like, hey, you either work as a fisherman, you make sure no zombies like are in your area, right? And you'll get like this daily supply of food and water.
Yeah, it's more like you're not getting paid directly. I imagine it's more just like you are expected to do work, and in return, you can expect to get a place to sleep and rest and get food.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, no one really owns the property. You have your house, and it's understood that that house is yours.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah, in a place this small, I
Yeah.
suspect ownership, it's less, well, it's less capitalist than even us,
Yeah.
as player characters will be experiencing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just because there's no more oversight enforcing the system.
Yeah, it's sort of like just the structures that are in place, or you're just sort of going like, okay, I'll listen to TSA Tim because he has a gun and like a badge, so I guess I'll listen to him.
And because
I
he's going to be
listened to him
around tomorrow,
before.
and because I have to sit across the
Yeah.
table from him while we eat breakfast every single day, and I'd rather not
Yeah.
have him stare at me,
You don't shit where you sleep. That's the common motto.
basically.
Yeah, like the PSA Tim observes and reports to the like council if like he sees like, oh, like old man Jeff was like snooping around last night. We need to crack down on that. Like that's about the enforcement
He's
level.
half
and, like,
guard and half nosy neighbor.
Yeah. And really I think the worst penalty and really the only penalty the Enclave has, like their only stick is exile. Like that's really it.
Yeah.
It's like
fish.
Yeah, tighten rations, that kind of stuff. You know.
Well, tightening rations like is risky because in a system in like a place where everyone needs to work to keep it afloat and keep it defended, having someone who isn't healthy enough to perform that task because you tighten their rations makes it your fault when they can't pull their weight. So really, the only tool at their disposal is like you're in, or you're out, and like that's the only tool
I think I agree.
they can
there
pick.
could be tightening of vegetable rations, but we export fish, so I suspect we don't need to tighten general food rations.
Oh, I was saying like as a penalty, like we you're on
That's
half
fair.
rations for a week. That's like what the army does or did.
Yeah. Well, I think like a lighter punishment may be like, all right, it's your time to scrub the water filter or whatever. Like you get assigned a shit duty.
Yeah, I could see reduced rations being actually quite a severe punishment because half of their rations would be like, no, we're exporting your rations, your half of your fish, to pay for the property damage or something you caused. Could be part of it.
Okay.
Ooh, we could make it, hyper-capitalist. Like, your infraction costs you quality of life.
Yeah, which also means it would probably barely happen.
Yeah.
No one would want that.
So the next question is there...
I still don't like ration. Like, I still don't like tightening the rations. It really feels to go against the idea of the conclave. That would just make you leave. Like, that's the result in a world with very little enforcement of these sorts of things. And it's all about, like, working together.
I agree if it's long-term or commonly used, but I foresee this only being used short-term as like the only thing short of exile, and even then not for too long.
Honestly, the second that we see these systems, I start thinking about the teenager that's saying, okay, how far can I push this
before
I exile? And I am immediately trying to figure out, okay, where are those lines?
Good luck. We're already half exiled.
So this actually kind of leads into the next question of, is there an executive or court system? So it just seems like...
if a crime is committed. I think it's just exile.
It's just exile.
Now, is there like a hearing or something like that? I would actually
I
say,
think
in extenuating circumstances, maybe the like this is the next board meeting thing will list like someone is required to be present at the board meeting, but without being a member of the board or something like that could be something.
Like a board hearing.
Yeah.
yeah. I think those are all
Last chance
public.
to convince us not to exile
Those are
you.
those ones are public. I think the normal
Yeah.
board meetings are not public; they're private,
Mm-hmm.
which is why everyone's
Yeah.
so curious about them.
Yeah, but the any sort of like hearing like that is like a public explain yourself to the board of the community.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in front of
Yeah,
the rest of the
in-
community too.
Yeah.
Inquest kind of thing. Like you just stand in the box and tell us what you did. Now say you're sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are we going for like in some circumstances your rations are tightened for like maybe a week?
I don't think
If
it'd
it's,
ever be
like,
more than a
nothing-
week.
If it's nothing like
I-
super serious.
You can probably just leave it as reduced quality of life and leave it at that. Like maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
they just don't get some supplies that they should. It's not necessarily food, but their life sucks for a little while.
Yeah, that's more adaptable.
And that's for minor infractions that don't threaten the safety of the like enclave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like first offense, dereliction of duty, that kind of thing.
So in extreme circumstances, the board hearing, everything else is just lowered quality of life for a little bit.
Who enforces or determines when that happens? Because if it's not a board hearing, then is it just like the board has given the TSA guy the power to do that and just been like,
I
yeah,
think anyone can. I think anyone can
Yeah.
bring a grievance in front of the board. TSA sheriff just does it the most.
okay,
And as far as enforcement, I'm thinking social enforcement is really the only way to go here. You get shunned. You know?
that's fair. Yeah, the cook just doesn't give you their second scoop of food.
Like you're
No one's
last in
sitting at your
line.
table.
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
the
no one
burnt
sits at your
crispy
table.
edge, and that's it. And
Yeah.
That's fair.
You get the fin of the fish. You don't even get anything good.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. I think we've kind of answered this too, but does anyone have veto power?
I don't think so. I think that's what's so weird. I think the mayor did, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We haven't got around to electing a new one.
What if the mayor is a lifetime appointment and because he's a zombie, still
I like
technically
that.
alive?
Oh, yeah,
I like
so he
that.
can-
That's why the pilot. That's partly why the pilot keeps him alive. Because like, I don't know. I'll go ask the mayor.
Yeah. No one can.
I
We
think
can't
the
veto
mayor
anything.
still has. I think the mayor still technically has veto power too.
Yep.
and it's
So
that
no, the
TSA
mayor somehow shambles into a meeting and says something.
and it's that TSA agent that keeps bringing this up because he's all about, these are the rules, and when you guys wrote this, you didn't say anything about unlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care that it wrote before the apocalypse happened. Doesn't matter.
Okay. That's funny. I like that. Okay, the next one is: does religion play a role in the Enclave's political struggles? Is it a traditional faith or one of the believer cults resulting from after the crash?
I know one person's answer to
traditional.
this already.
Yeah, Indigo. What's your
Yes.
take first? Because
I don't know if it plays a result. I don't know if it plays a role in the running, but I do think there's a few of us that are looking for outside help to deal with this problem.
okay, so the answer I guess would be no. Technically, it doesn't play a role into like political struggles, but it doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, it is
Right,
part
so
of the
there's-
society.
Yeah, it's a societal like thing. There's a few people that are definitely like
Like secret believers?
not even like secret believers, but are just like dabbling with stuff. But it's not like there's.
It's hard to find the time.
It's not enforced. It's not like, oh, you have to go to the midnight mass. You don't have. It's not like, or it could be. Do we have a necessary cult day? No.
I think we're
Okay.
there's too much variety of people here to have anything like that that would function.
Like a singular cult?
Yeah. It might be something that's like, as you said, there's a handful of people and it's growing, but I don't think it's yet reached near
Yeah.
the point of like, it's expected here that you attend our cult church service every midnight when the moon is dark.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not in the political structure, but there are a handful of cultists that just sort of like are cultists.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many pamphlets do I deal with on a daily basis?
Say, what kind of
Zombie?
cultist? Is this like we're gonna wear black robes and whisper things in another like eldritch language, or is this just like
That's what I was
white
going
shirt
for,
bicycle riding kind of?
but also the white shirt bicycle.
Oh,
Yeah, go to the airport, get a flower, kind of thing. Like,
Indigo, did you want to use one of the cults in the book, or are you going to make one up?
What are the cults in the book? Let me look at those.
They are on page
reference.
150.
150.
Yeah.
So, the Meek, the Shepherds, Chosen, Triage, Black Math, Archivists, Holy Communion, Detox, and Crusaders. There might be more. Let me check.
Those are some nice.
Oh, Randians and Lalas.
Wait, what are Randians? I'm into
Randians are like Raiders are often confused as Randians. Both can leave enclaves impoverished and bleeding, but conflating the two is a mistake, a reflex for a dance. So basically, I think Randians are
here we go. Randians do not identify as believers. They are atheists, one and all, regarding the tenets of both God and man as slave moralities. However, they have a dogmatic pursuit of total self-interest. So it is Rapture, Bioshock-esque Ayn Rand to an extreme of just
Ayn Randian.
yes.
Pursue your self-interest to the exclusion of everything else.
And so another sentence I saw was, today's Randians won't even speak to another person unless their time is compensated with bounty.
Yeah.
They would not douse a fire if it did not threaten them personally.
Many believe the ability to steal from someone represents a flaw in the character of the victim. The theft is, as Randians, their duty to perform. So yeah, they are mental
like
Olympian bandits, basically.
The last sentence. They also tend to dress in business casual even now. I don't know why.
What's the word? It's Gary Johnson's one, technically. Like they're like super hardcore libertarian. But like in the insane amount.
Like actual, yeah. If there was a puppy on fire, they would just watch it and do nothing.
Yes.
Unless they were paid to
The rest of that sentence was, they would not douse a fire if it did not threaten them personally, even as a child burned alive.
Yeah.
They wouldn't care.
I'm probably gonna have my own because all of these are
not
less pro.
They're
not
more
as
Mad Maxy a bit.
Yeah.
They're more Mad Maxy, and they're not as proactive in countering the zombies as I want to be with my religious fervor.
There is that one religion called the Black Math that is their entire religion is I kill as many zombies as possible to get my name higher on the scoreboard.
No, it's not about evening the odds, which is what it's in the realm of Black Math. But more, it might be Black Math, but
it's
far
like
more
a splinter group of Black Math.
Yeah, related to that philosophy that we
Dark
need to
arithmetic.
Yeah, but see, Black Math believe they can even the math. Whereas my character, I have not figured out anything else about them besides this part, is firmly believing that we need outside intervention to even the math.
Okay, so you might be an offshoot of archivists then,
I'm looking at it now.
They believe extinction is inevitable and the present a brief reprieve between crashes.
Yeah.
Their duty is to preserve as much human culture as possible because more bad shit is coming down the road.
So like almost like a mix between a Black Math cultist and an archivist. Like the aliens will come soon. They will help us defeat the zombies.
I'm opening the pits of hell to defeat the zombies. That's the plan. That's what I want.
Demons.
Yes. Demons will
purge
the earth.
It's gonna turn into Doom. That's what it's gonna turn
we're going for Doom.
That's
I want winged horrors ripping zombies in half in like a black metal poster.
Okay.
I could just imagine like you're just this like very polite person with bicycle, white, like nice white shirt, but your room is decorated with like black skulls and heavy metal posters and everything.
Yeah, dress like a Mormon, hand out little Tijuana Bibles about demons.
That's great. Okay, so last question for social structure to tie it back. Has the Enclave always done things this way, or is the current system the result of some past struggle? I think to
Always.
me, yeah, it sounds like they have kept the structure of the before time,
But it's kind of
there's
mutated
really
a
no
bit, but
power
yeah.
behind it. But it's like
The original
I think it's
board,
in
really
flux.
There's no original board members left, just the idea
I
of
think
the board.
I think the board itself was, you're right, originally the tourism board for this area.
Mm-hmm.
That is the board.
Yeah.
Well, that actually makes a weird kind of sense because the tourist bureau would know all of the assets that are in the town better than most people.
Yep.
Yeah. They were the original governing body, and they have all since died or left, but we have just replaced their seats.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
why. That's the only reason the mayor has veto power is because of that.
Yeah.
So it has always been this way. The board was originally the tourism board of this place, and it has mutated from here.
Someone's gonna try and have an election to become the new mayor.
Don't give me ideas.
It's like, okay, I need you to escort me to this other like enclave on the other side of town because technically they're in the municipality, and I need them to.
They're an unincorporated area.
We gave them voting rights for food one time. It was the worst deal we ever made.
Yeah, I need them to vote for me.
Okay, so now we're on neighborhoods. So I have written in here Leighton Shack for the 3 Leightons in the community.
Yes,
So,
Leighton Shack.
I agree with Leighton Shack. I also think because while this is a like seaplane mostly, they did try to branch into commercial flights. So I'm wondering if one of the neighborhoods might just be like the commercial area, basically.
Mhm.
The like mini mall or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
the mini mall I think is more of the workplace. Like we turned the food court in the airport into our like communal kitchen.
I agree, but I guess that depends on the definition of neighborhood. To me, I was just going through every area of the enclave.
I'll read the there's little blurbs before the question, so I'll read this one so we have a better idea.
I was gonna say we could go from the ones we know and then see if we can fill any others. Because right now what we know is we have the Leighton Shack, we have the Homesteaders. We can count them as their own neighborhood.
The docks area.
Just like the people that are around the lake but not living in the airport.
They're not behind the moat.
Yeah, they're part of the enclave, but they're their own neighborhood. Like the Homesteaders are their own chunk of people.
That's fair.
Yeah,
there's probably like an area where the fishermen.
Yeah, the first question is, what are the major demographic zones of your? So it's less like geographic neighborhood, and I think more like cultural
just
neighborhood,
groups of
right?
people. Okay.
Yeah, because the first sentence of neighborhoods is humans like cliques, so it's like the different cliques.
Yeah, it's social circles.
Yeah.
Social circles. We got the Homesteaders, we got the Leightons. I like the idea the fishermen have their own like club and like maybe even their own bar.
Oh, it's
like,
one of
not
those.
Much,
it's the Moose Lodge. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you say Elks Lodge?
Yeah, moose, elk, whatever large mammal you want to name it after.
It's the Trout Pit.
The Trout Lodge.
It's the Trout Pit.
Yep.
But there's like an old fisherman bar that they all like that's like a dockside bar that they all park at and hang out at when they're not like fishing and they live on their boats.
We have the Reunion.
Yeah, the Reunion. I was looking at Canadian last names. Patel is a common surname in India and in Canada, so we could have the Patels.
They have taken over like the Delta Executive Lounge for just that family.
Yeah.
Well, in my head, I was imagining because even like small airports have like 2 to 3 hangars, right? So maybe one hangar is used for a plane, and another hangar has been converted into like little rooms.
Yeah, in this case, they'd be water hangar. Like they'd have water, like I don't remember what they are, but like the pulley system to pull up the plane from the water if needed.
Yeah.
Dry docks?
Is it dry dock?
I mean, that's what you
It's-
used to pull a boat up out of the
Yeah,
water.
that's why I wasn't sure
Yeah,
about with
it's
the plane.
the aviation equivalent of what. Well, the thing is with water planes, you hit a button and wheels come out.
Do you?
So-
Oh, okay. So then,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot
Most
of them.
seaplanes
Some
you
of them
can
are.
land other places. Like, usually you land, like in Alaska, you would take off from ground,
Mhm.
and then you would land in a lake when you need to get out there. And when you come back to your, like, airport with a hangar, there's normal runway.
Yeah. Is there a runway here at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we made a runway.
If we're
they were-
taking small commercial flights to the area, we need a runway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
But not
we
if it's,
probably.
water.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we needed a runway if we're.
Because
Do we need
seaplanes-
do we need to take off from the runway, or can we also take off from the water? And we can take off from both.
They're both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
I just don't know if we
Mhm.
need a runway. But if
But-
there is a runway, that's the perfect place to farm stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I want a runway simply because that's where our farm is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on the
So
top.
one question I brought up, and it might hit that lines and veils thing. This is a resort town. Is there a brothel?
I don't think currently.
I don't think there was legally. Is
there
there
might
now?
be. There might be now. You're right.
Yeah,
There
that's
might
what
be
I'm
one
asking.
now.
Like, you got to pull people in, and what sells better?
I'd tend towards no, but the hotel has got that across the way.
The hotel
Ah,
has
That makes sense.
console. Yeah.
I think we have. I think we have a
We're
couple.
not big scale.
Yeah,
You're
I
thinking
think
we might
might
have individuals who are willing.
Yeah, I think we have a couple individual sex workers in our enclave, but not
Mhm.
like a brothel. It's just like they have a really cool, like, not plush, but like they might have a boat because they could drive out
Yeah, they have,
to
like, a houseboat.
tourists on the houseboats and stuff.
That
But
works.
it's not like we have a specific brothel. This isn't like a place. It's all independent business owners in that industry here. There is no greater organ. There's no like matron in charge of it or anything.
This
Is
is
that-
the town of small businesses.
How many people do you
Is
think
that-
have managed to seduce a wealthy traveler and tourist to like help them get back across the wall?
Oh, I'm
Not
sure
an
that's-
insignificant amount.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that is
they're-
the appeal of sex work, I'm sure.
Historically, that is what you did when you wanted to like culturally convert people. You went, here are my daughters, have them, and then you would go like, okay, I'm gonna take them back to England. Bye.
Now, I think in our postmodern society here,
Yeah.
we have a little bit more refined view on that, where
Yeah.
it's not selling someone else off to a better life. You just get yourself into a better situation if that's the way you want to approach it. But
Mhm.
Yeah, we whipped some Manifest Destiny on that in
Yeah.
the intervening years.
I mean, I did in college. I did take a class. It was basically, what was it like?
historical sex workers.
Not technically that, but it was about like sex in the early modern world, right? It was like talked about that how how when the Spanish came over, there was a lot of like marrying Spaniards off to natives' daughters, right? And then also like
So that's also
why
a
people
weird,
traveled,
like,
yeah.
cultural confusion between the two things, because I'm
Mhm.
assuming they have different ideas about it than the Spanish Catholics' view on.
Oh, it was a lot about how
and that seems like a problematic approach.
no, it was like the Spanish Catholics. The man had wives back home, but they definitely still
Ooh,
took the daughters.
Oh, great, fun, amazing.
Yeah.
This is a great system.
It was great, yeah. History, it sucks.
Well, that's what happens when you're thousands of miles away and you're making up your own rules. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's this weird thing with like zombie apocalypse stuff where you kind of sort of want to keep as many of the old rules as possible.
Yeah.
Because you want to hold on to any amount of normalcy you can when the world is trying to eat your flesh.
Yes.
I think that is how it is for some people, but then other people are looking for an excuse to throw off what they see as the shackles of normalcy.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they wouldn't live in our club. Like that's
That's
the
true.
thing.
In our
wouldn't
club,
live
you're
here.
right. They wouldn't
You would
live
have
here.
struck off on your own. Like those weirdos live in the woods, and they have 10 roosters they have trapped in cages around the edges of their property.
I'm getting okay.
Okay.
And they yell all the time. It's a weird place. We don't go there.
This is oddly specific, and I suspect a neighbor you had in Florida.
It does sound very Florida.
There's a weird amount of peacocks in Florida. If you want,
Peacocks are also are great though.
There's a weird amount of I've lived
Exotic animals
near 2 emu farms
Mm.
in California.
Oh.
Right now we got goose. We got goose everywhere. They're Canadian invaders, and they just kind of live here now.
We had a wild turkey, an escaped pet turkey that for months refused to ever be captured by anyone. He's become our mascot.
Wandering around, it was great.
Just a feral turkey?
I believe it used to be a
building?
No, wandering around the entire city. He would go across
God.
Yeah. Eventually,
They would take photos of him.
Yeah, I think cars would stop for him.
That's great. That's so good. I love
not
that.
care.
Wait, is he now your city's mascot?
Pseudo mascot. Unfortunately, he was discovered by the coyotes that wandered.
Oh. I thought you said Thanksgiving roll around.
The fate of a lot of turkeys.
Coyotes.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 2. Is there a rich neighborhood and a, quote, bad part of town?
Yes.
Are living arrangements determined by occupation, political identification, or other signifiers of class?
Yes to rich area, yes to bad part of town, no to things. It's whatever property you hold down. So it's kind of
yeah, it's nothing more than social pressure for where you live. It's whatever you manage to get away with for where you live, but everything else.
You're looking for a bad enough punishment, and you're out away. The homeowners association might be able to say, hey, we need this house somewhere else and relocate your stuff. But that's a huge deal.
That depends how much stuff you have.
Yeah, your stuff, your place.
Would we consider the what did we call the area? The houses across the moat to be the worst part of town?
No.
Oh, like the homesteaders? No. Wherever the latent shack is, likely is the worst part of town.
Yeah, around the latent shack is the worst part of town.
What would it be? Because
I would think
the parking lot.
Latent shack.
It's
the parking lot. I was thinking the maintenance shack or something like that.
No, because our maintenance guy is really.
Oh, we do have. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
could be just the parking lot then.
I think the parking lot, and you live in abandoned cars.
Ooh, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's also in the recession. They call it free parking.
Yeah,
that's the bad part of town. The abandoned cars in the parking lot that some people that don't really want to do a bunch of work. I hate to phrase it that way.
Or just don't have the skills to be able to contribute, or aren't welcome.
Yeah, the dependents that don't have anyone taking care of them.
Yeah.
Dependents without someone to depend on. Sometimes, unfortunately, get relegated to the parking lot.
Yep. I think that's
maybe they're.
I think that's still the
that
case here.
If there's a
there's
bunch
a real
of casualties,
lack.
they're called in.
Yeah, because there's a real lack of social safety nets going on here.
There's also the fact that if any zombies get over the moat, parking lot's probably the first place they're getting into.
Also, just had an idea that the bad part of town actually moves around, because as people are in the bad part of town and make it better, we're like, no, that's too good for you, and we shove them someplace else.
I don't know if it's that conscious.
I don't think we do a lot of moving of people. I know someone mentioned it, but I don't think we honestly do a lot of moving of people, because people seem to because there's not anything more than loose social structures to enforce things. It's.
But I do think that there's probably a lot more cars than people, and so as people have been around and living there, the longer someone's been living in the parking lot, they've gotten more cars and put them together and stripped off their doors, and they might have this collection of cars that are all not literally attached necessarily, but pseudo connected. That might be their equivalent of a house.
And one guy found a bus and brought it back and was like, "Yes, I'm the king of the parking lot."
He found a bus and he charges for rooms in the bus.
That could be a thing. Yeah.
The parking lot is the bad part of town. The rich part of town is there is definitely a rich part of town, and I think we're gonna say air quotes rich because they pay someone to pay in the way that pay works in this world, not literal pay, but they have someone from that neighborhood whose whole job is to keep it safe. Like, even within the Enclave, to, like, chase off ne'er-do-wells and stuff.
I'd say the really rich part of town is whoever owns a houseboat.
Yeah, it's out on the next to timeshares.
Ooh, you're right.
I was thinking on the houseboats or some lake houses that people have just claimed as their own, or
I think the lake houses are the homesteader faction, like the random lake. Like they use that as a starting point for their for their place. But yeah, I think you're right. It's not even just houseboats, but like some cruiser yachts and stuff that some people that were on the lake that people have claimed as their own, and they're pushed out just far enough and anchored that they don't have to really worry about people coming and messing with their stuff, and they have like a little convoy boat that they take back and forth to town. Those are the like rich people, and there's like a little huddle of them out in the lake.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about anything, and they only can interact with the rest of the Enclave when they choose to, basically.
Yeah, they're not required to interact if they don't want to.
It's their equivalent to the gated community.
Yeah, because they have their little huddle and they just take their little rowboats out when they want to go.
Yep. Is there anything with like? Is there air traffic control tower anywhere? And if so, is that used for something? Do we think?
I think there is. We mentioned it before because I remember
there is one.
That's like the
guy just living it.
Could it be the maintenance guy? Yeah, he could have that. I was wondering if we wanted the TSA guy for that to be his like watchtower, or
the TSA guy. Either one of those
guy.
Two. Yeah, okay.
Because I'm imagining him up there all the time with his binoculars, just looking at people for like waiting for them to do something bad.
Jaywalking.
It's his prepper fortress in a way.
Yeah.
I think we had one other person on guard duty all the time, so the TSA could go around. I kind of like that the TSA guy is the person who assigns guard duty, so he calls up and says, "Hey, I'm gonna quiz you now about what you were doing on."
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea that
he has a couple deputies.
I could imagine.
Yeah, he's deputized a few people, and like he's a nosy neighbor, but he's also too lazy to go walk it himself. So that's why he's in the air control tower.
This guy is the worst supervisor all of us have ever worked for.
But he's just competent enough to just get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
He probably has an underling that does all of the actual work, and he takes the credit.
Like his first deputy.
Yep.
Okay, so the next
I could see him being played by J.K. Simmons.
I was picturing him as the boss from Office Space. I can't remember the character's name, but that guy.
The batter. We know that's the character's name.
Okay, we've basically answered this, but how does the Enclave quarantine Laytons? Are their sections comparable or little more than ghettos? It's a shed.
Shack. It's a single shack.
It's a shack.
So do we like build that in the parking lot? Like, is that the only non-car building?
Yeah.
I think that was like the gardening shack.
Or is that the bus?
Airport.
Is like the bus really big, but multiple people have to live in there at once, and you're kind of all the Laytons live there.
You could also do the parking attendant's office. You for like a bigger parkade, or there's where you'd pay a toll.
Any preference for which of those?
I actually do like if they man the parking attendant booth.
Yeah.
For most of the day, because that puts them right on the border of
it does.
Yeah. I think we have taken one of those. One of the buses the airport just has, its only job is to go between the airport and the parking lot. We've taken that, we've butted it up against the parking attendant shack and put like a couple panels up so it seals to be like one long corridor. You enter through the little parking attendant shack, and in the back there's a bus with like bedrolls in it.
Yeah.
And that's the shack for the Laytons.
The Layton bus.
What would happen if a Layton wandered out through the rest of town?
They're not. How strict is the quarantine? Is this more just like extreme shunning?
If they sweat on you, you could be infected. If they like sweat on you, if they sneeze on you, they're like they're all fluids from their body are infectious.
They're still
right?
like, okay, so they have to be like really quarantined.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were saying we were better to them than most, but apparently this is.
This is better than most, because others will have like their main fence and then an outer perimeter fence that the latents are like. The latents are the human moat, whereas you have an actual moat.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
And
probably
typically
There's
they
a
will force the
noticeable
latents to like
gulf
be on the wall
yeah.
and kill zombies.
There's a noticeable gulf between the latent bush/shack and the closest lived-in car.
Yeah, I
There's
think so.
Yeah.
there's a notable
they're in the
distance.
cell phone lot, and we're in the main concourse. Like
There might be a like aspect of
They're pretty far out.
like every time a latent walks by, okay, are they wearing their mask? Are they wearing gloves? Like it's making sure that they are protecting themselves, and that you aren't in danger before you even go near them.
I mean, this is fisherman's gear. We should probably have a couple raincoats flying around.
True.
Yeah, they're probably also wearing raincoats.
Yeah, there's probably like you better be wearing your pseudo hazmat suit.
I like the latents and raincoats.
Raincoats and beekeeper helmets.
So they can walk around with proper
Outside.
protection.
They can't go inside the airport.
Yeah, which is more than other communities would.
Yeah, they can't go inside the indoor buildings. It's too risky.
Yeah,
but they're still
they're
like
allowed to wander the grounds
and the
and
farms
go into
outside.
and their shack.
They just
but there's
can't be
no
farmers.
access, and they're definitely not allowed. Like no latents on the docks because we have to keep the tourists like happy, and that means no seeing latents.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the latents are actively hidden from tourists.
Absolutely.
That's part of why they're in the coats.
Oh, that's just a maintenance guy. Don't worry about him. He's gonna go dredge out the sewage.
Ooh.
They're the big yellow coats.
So
kind of the opposite of the stage ninjas in black. It's like, no, they're in yellow. That's why you ignored them.
That's just a fisherman. Don't worry. I'm really interested in this next question. Are immunes allowed to walk free, or must they hide their diagnosis, lest they be sold into medical slavery? So
it doesn't seem like this community would do that.
Yeah, I also vote for hide.
Okay.
I'm hoping to actually have my dependent be in it.
And
right. So,
but hidden as in the rest of the
Enclave,
Enclave doesn't know that they're immune.
They are immune. Yeah.
I think because we get overseas tourists, there's always that risk. I don't think it's necessarily like everyone.
It's I think it's a don't ask, don't tell policy about being immune. Like we're not gonna inquire, but also keep it hush hush because that puts us at risk.
Yeah. You got bit. You're not a zombie. Could be that you're immune. We're not gonna ask. Because if I know, then it's possible that the visiting tourist who could buy this entire place out might know. And
yeah, because
part of word gets out and raiders show up. Like that's not cool either.
Yeah, or I use their pure blood to summon forth something horrific.
Also, potentially that, yes, if that is known about.
Well,
yeah, that's the line we feed to keep them quiet about it. The cultists will kill you.
So part of also like being an immune is that I think per permanently harvested hitbox on your body, it is 10 bounty.
Yeah, it's insanely.
So you're like super valuable, and it's like if anyone knows, I will literally just be harvested and sold because my body is that valuable.
Yeah, it's like being made of living gold.
Yeah. So immunes are hidden.
Yep.
I'll put don't ask, don't tell.
Yep.
Okay. Do different sects of believers live in cloistered groups? Do they mingle with the population, or do they have to hide from the same dominant ideology? It seems like they just keep to themselves, right?
They
Yeah.
just kind of mingled.
Like, yeah, I don't think there's any policy one way or the other on religion. I think the only thing is the old, like, pre-apocalyptic, like, policy for the board of, like, if you're a board member, your religion can't dictate your decisions about board policy. Other than that, it's nothing.
I don't even think that's a policy.
I think that's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
Ooh, yeah, that's fair.
The thing is, I want to leave the door open for some fanatical believer to weasel their way on the board.
Oh, I want that too. Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Okay, and then so no religion policy. most believers sort of, it's like, again, like you don't talk about it, right?
Or you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
There's don't talk about it or do. I'll add that caveat.
And people may just roll their eyes and move on, but they're not going to do anything horrible.
Yeah. Okay. We are now at VIPs. So, now we make the NPCs together. So, who are the movers and shakers in the Enclave? Did they get power through first come first serve, or have they elevated themselves through sheer force of will?
So we have the TSA agent so far, the pilot,
Pilot, engineer.
the engineer, yeah.
Probably the head
Family
of
reunion,
whatever
family.
plan is.
Yeah, the family matriarch.
So grandma, we just said it there with the Patels, so Grandma
Patels,
Patel.
Grandma Patel.
I love the idea because you said Patel's Canadian and Indian. It was like branches of the family. The Canadian family invited the Indian family over.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we're just
It's
like
great.
intercontinental family reunion.
Yeah.
And then
It's like, oh, hey, don't you know? This is my Canadian. This is my Indian grandma. Eh?
I like that.
Is the matriarch Indian or Canadian?
I like Indian, but I'm getting like some vibes from I'm forgetting the name of the thing. Either way, I do like Indian being it.
Okay.
Are all these people we've named on the council, or just like one of
TSA agent is not. I don't think maintenance guy is.
Pilot for sure is.
Pilot, I think, makes sense.
I think
she
I think
is.
Grandma Patel is.
Grandma Patel definitely is.
Or at least someone she sends to attend the meetings. I don't know.
Yeah, she has a. Regardless, Grandma Patel is on the council.
Yeah, there is a
she's
Patel
on
seat.
A Patel is always on the council.
There's always a Patel on the council.
Regardless of whose name is on the roster.
It just says Patel.
Yeah, Grandma makes the shot. Grandma calls the shots.
Yeah.
Now I want a rebelling Patel.
Oh, I will be a
Rebel
Patel. As a heads up, I'm going to be a Patel. There'll be at least one more significant council member.
Probably the head fisherman.
Yeah.
And probably the maintenance guy, honestly. I mean, he's got a lot to say.
That's true. He would
engineer?
be. I think the engineer.
I don't think he's interested in the power.
He might not be interested in the politics, though. He might
it's a fucking nuisance for him, but his name is always on that damn list, so he has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Okay. There might be other board members, but those are the ones we know.
The mayor.
The mayor is technically not on the board. The mayor can veto the board.
But is a VIP, because that's the question.
The only zombie VIP.
Yep.
The mayor.
And we all still call him the mayor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even though they're clearly a zombie now.
Yeah. And they have a name.
If he doesn't wear a top hat, I'm going to find one scavenging, and we're going to put it on that damn zombie.
Mr. Topham Hat, the mayor?
And this is sort of just like the council was a thing before, and it's a thing now, so it's sort of like first come, first serve, or you've made yourself have enough power in the community to be put on it.
The system was first come, first serve, because that existed beforehand, but I don't think any of the individuals in charge now, with the exception of the pilot, were here before.
But the pilot wasn't on the tourism board originally.
No, the pilot was just around the airport, like being a pilot.
He's probably a member of the tourism board, but not like on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How do their positions reflect their agendas? What's their end game? Are they lost for life, or do they have a retirement plan too?
Is
this Enclave their retirement plan? I think we could just say in general, right? Like, do all the people on the board like their little spot, or do some of them want to leave?
Definitely, I think leaving is a common thing.
Yeah, anyone that wants to leave, it's leaving to America Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The matriarch won't leave. I think that while she's like fierce, she's also like, yeah, the rest of my family's here. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
think
it's gonna
it's all or nothing with
logistically.
matriarch, and it's just
Yeah, I need several. If it was like 60 bounty to get over or something like that, it's like, yeah, okay, I need 6,000 now to get maybe 3,000 to get 50 people over or something
Yeah,
ludicrous.
she's aiming to get everyone in the clan
Mhm.
over if anyone's going.
Yeah.
So is she against, like, because if you're going to be Patel, is she like, we all need to go together, or is she more like, if you guys get out before, I will just not leave before everyone is gone?
I think
Oh,
it's
she's all
more
go together.
her. She
She wants to.
she does want people to go together, but I'd say more extremely, she won't leave until everyone is gone. If she
Okay.
was to send anyone first, it would be the dependents and like the kids and younger people first.
Yeah.
Anyone like who is a parent or someone who is older in the family is expected to go last compared to the people who are.
Oh, yeah, a lot of like shaming if you're stashing money from the family to be like,
Absolutely.
I'm saving up to get me and my wife out. It's like, no, you're not. What about your cousins?
Yeah, you have you
Yeah.
have a 5-year-old cousin, and they need to go to safety before they get eaten by a zombie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the maintenance guy also wants to stay, just because, hey, he's really a lot more
It's like,
useful.
I've been here my whole life.
he's a local.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
maintenance
I think as
guy
far as the
is.
locals are concerned, they probably just they don't care. Like, what's the
They just want-
difference, really?
Yeah,
just want to
he just wants to
survive.
keep doing his job.
Yeah.
I think a couple of the fishers probably want out, but that's just
The fishermen are probably like split. It's kind of like they seem like a mixed bag. Like some of them are
Absolutely.
locals, some of them are here by happenstance. Either way,
Yeah,
like they're here now.
and the TSA
Yeah,
agent
give
is
or
in his
take.
element. He's not leaving. He will be the
Yeah.
last person
He's like,
to
this
leave.
is my little fort.
Yeah.
I think the pilot does want to leave, though. Like,
Oh, the
Yes,
pilot desperately
absolutely.
wants to leave.
using their power, they want out.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
pilot desperately wants to leave.
They're just like, I could just take that plane. I could just go and never come back.
I think that's what happened with the incident with the mayor and the other person who became a latent was there was
Well,
some
wasn't
kind
that
of like
zombie sledding?
Zombies.
it was zombie manual labor, I believe. Yes, it was supposed to end up leading to a great deal of profit if it worked out, which would have afforded them to leave.
I like the idea of they wanted to save gas, so instead of powering like, like cars to do it or like lawnmowers, we went, okay, let's do like they do in Alaska with the mushing dogs, mushing zombies.
Yeah.
But it went bad, and I like to think that the pilot and the mayor tragically probably like the next day were like, we're just gonna leave, we're gonna take the plane and go, they can't stop us, and then he got turned into a zombie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
So the pilot wants to leave, but they can't leave the mayor.
what happened to the barter they saved up, or was the mayor's identity like? Do they not have enough barters to go over by themselves? It was the barter plus the mayor's connection, and
I think it
now
was
the
the
mayor.
barter plus the connection.
Yeah.
Even better, the mayor had it all set up. He had it all hidden. They were going to take off. Pilot doesn't know where any of that paperwork is.
Oh, that's so much better. Yeah,
That's
there's
so
like
much
a
better.
yeah. There's
they're
rumors of this
constantly
like
searching
buried
through
treasure,
town.
basically.
The pilot has all of the money too, though. They have enough money to do it. It's just like I don't have. It's not set up. Like I don't have my tickets. I don't have my paperwork. It's all just like
Yeah,
frantically trying to. That's why they keep the zombie around. It's like, where did you hide it?
Tell me.
yeah.
Oh god, that is so that's so good.
Yeah. Now, is this like a rumor around town that everyone kind of like wonders if it's true, or is this something that the pilot's keeping secret?
Oh, this is probably a rumor.
Okay.
I
they
want to say the
announced
rumor is more we keep catching the pilot in weird places, and why?
Yeah, the
Weird
pilot's
places
looking
with
for
the shovel.
something. The
Weird
pilot's
places
looking for
with
something.
a crab trap.
Right before, the mayor got turned into a zombie, they had, we have a big announcement, and then they never got around to making it.
Ooh, that's definitely it. I think the mayor would be
Rather,
someone who would be a bit
like,
a bit of a drama king kind of guy, where like no one else needed to announce when they were leaving. Sometimes people just disappear in the middle of the night if they could. But he was like, he wanted to make a like stage exit.
Make a scene about it. Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about how bad the board is before he dies.
I promise I'll use my talents to make amends and make things easier for all of you to get across in the future.
Yeah, because there's also I forget what they're called, but basically
I'll send you all a
enclaves
postcard.
that are petitioning to the government to be like, hey, make us an official enclave of the DHQS, right? Like,
Oh, okay.
because the plan is for the government, wait for the zombies to all die, and then we will move back across the Mississippi and reclaim everything, right? Like the reclamation. But there are enclaves that are like, hey, are you guys just gonna murder us when you get here? Like, what's happening? So I think there are some enclaves that want a petition to be like, make us official. Like, say we were from the recession, but we have moved out here, even though we've been here for 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. Let's see here. Last question for VIPs. How do the VIPs exert control over the enclave? Do they wield economic power, the threat of violence, or some other persuasive force? It's
We've
the council.
talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Social pressure, council influence is the big thing.
I don't think we really have any absolute thugs on the council, though. If they needed to, there's probably the town thugs.
There's probably a few people who would qualify as thugs, but I don't think any of them are VIPs.
Mm-hmm. So social pressure, influence. Okay. That is that. Once the enclave is created, finish off the session with character creation. Now, players have all the information they can decide what their characters fit into the different factions in the enclave. Okay. And then it says for me to elaborate. I already have a few contracts like scores lined up. So that's good. So yeah, let's get to character creation. I have a handy dandy step by step.
So as a group, how do we want to approach this? Do we want to each take a specialization, or do we want to be broad spectrum skills? How do we want to look at this as since we're making a unit?
We'll be specifically putting some points into an intentionally useless skill, by the way, because my whole character is that he was supposed to be across by now. He was supposed to be taken across the wall, where he was going to do things that could be done, but now he has skills that are useless in the apocalypse, which is to say, he's a painting prodigy.
Not entirely useless if you know how to use it.
Yes, unfortunately, he's a painting prodigy whose father is now a latent, and now he needs to provide for all his brothers and sisters. And not by painting.
There's 2 empty skill slots.
Also, I have no more painting supplies, by the way. That I'm not starting with painting supplies, so that's another thing.
What were you saying, Indigo?
There's 2 empty skill slots under intelligence.
That's for your professions. Anything with brackets is a specialization.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm looking at Punjabi names. I might name him, if I'm pronouncing it right, which I'm probably not, Umed.
I mean, you could just go for most popular Canadian child names too, and just go that way.
True.
I'm not really sure about what I'm. If we want the specialization or the group thing. I know that the way I was kind of aiming my character was, hey, I really liked the idea of being the DHQS spy or whatnot of some sort, and B, there are certain things that I'm just not really interested in role-playing, namely charisma and intelligence. So with those 2 things in mind, I tend towards looking to, I'm probably going to be slightly combat focused, but I don't think that necessarily means no one else can. Also, combat focused and not melee, because latent, and I'd rather not die immediately.
Yeah.
You're going to be a spy. We got a spy.
So there's a thing
painter.
with that. So let me scroll back to. I know taking that as your tough spot, you don't have normal dependents. The people in your crew are your dependents, and it has to be 1 for 1. So, like, let's say if you wanted to be like friends with Spencer's character, Spencer would need you as a dependent, and you would need him as a dependent, and then that's just like when you would heal humanity by hanging out with each other. You just tell me like, we go play video games or we go get dinner, right?
I was wondering if it was like that, but the first dependence, because it does still make sense to keep the system running as is for the first dependence, and then just any future game, I guess.
What exactly do you mean by that?
The one thing I was hesitant about with that was, though it's specified, yes, it can be any sort of dependent relationship. The only ones it detailed were romantic relationships. I'm really not into playing a romantic
Right.
relationship.
And I don't think it fits that well here.
Yeah. It when I read the steward thing for the DHQS spy, so the positive is you can ask your organization for help, and then the negative is the in too deep. So it's less like you're romantically involved, and I think it's more like, oh, you really like these people. They're like your friends, right? You've made friends of the people you're spying on, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It's just more like you ask Spencer, like, hey, do you want to go watch a movie and be bros? Or like, do you want to go bro out and like lift weights or whatever bros do?
Where do you put for like the tough spots? We have to pick one of like the listed tough spots, right?
Yes. So you put the tough spot, if you look
But
at,
there's like
oh, you mean where you put the like actual
the
like mechanical benefits?
yeah.
You can put it in the bottom right when you scroll down. There's like that empty text box.
Oh, the notes
Yeah, for
section.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea which way I'm gonna cut here.
Mhm.
It's looking like we need a face, which really sucks.
Oh, I might be the face.
You might be the face. Okay.
Yeah. Like that's where the most overlap between skills I can have are going to be face skills.
Mhm.
hmm
Sorry, they're
Mhm. I
that
think
might
as long
end badly for everyone because I am also a face with an agenda.
yeah.
I kind
So
of love that. So
Yeah.
I think as long as you like, you don't have two people specifically specialize in like being a face. If there's some overlap, you can use that when you negotiate jobs for scams.
hmm
And having more than one combat character is also very good because
Yeah.
zombies do not care who is who; they will bite the closest person.
All right. I maybe I do want to pull Hawkeye in on this then.
hmm
'Cause I kind of like that build.
hmm Um, and if you don't know what tough spot you want, it is handily dandily a D10 if you want to do that.
Oh, I'm a believer.
Oh, ooh. So, um, you start out cracked at a humanity threat. So you choose
Yeah.
which one are you detached, stress, or trauma? How bad are your demons?
Where's that? That's in the.
It's gonna be under damage, under
What
the
are the?
threats.
Probably. I don't know. Probably a
Um,
little bit detached because I have been sitting in dark basements with pig's blood and
okay.
the like.
Let's see here.
I still think I might go for the Mormon kit though, where I got the unholy book and I got the bicycle.
I think bicycle is in the gear list.
It
it
is.
is. Yep.
Oh, let's see.
What are the rules on sharing bounty? Like, is that just yours, or can you hand it over to people?
Um, if it's not, is there like a? Let's see here. Tor-
What does it mean by
Bounty.
cracked? Do I check all 5 boxes
No, so
undetached?
on detached, you check all five of those. The first under cracked, you check all five of those.
Do those ever go down?
Not when you hit cracked. Once you crack on a humanity track, then you can't fall below that. But
Yeah.
you're
Oh.
fine with stress, you're
Hmm.
fine with trauma, right? It's just
You're
once you start doing more detachment, you can your new
Spiral.
yeah. Your new thing is you can only go down to crack, right? So if you're up to let's say like 4 of those tick boxes before crumble, you can still heal down to cracked.
Yeah. So I start sacrificing people at break.
Yeah, at break you go full demon mode and just
Yeah.
go like Beelzebub save me, right?
Yeah,
I know there's 3 ways you can break. I don't remember them off the top of my head.
So I'll use that as my how extreme are the rituals meter.
Oh, there's actually more info on this other page for the different tough spots. Let's see. Steward, here we go.
I am stuck between Fenceman and Scavenger.
Let's see here. Where is... I think Fenceman is the one that gives you like +2 to hit casualties and vectors.
+1, yep, +1. And you're cracked on 1 threat from nightmarish memories, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so
but Scavenger is start the game with 20 bounty and -1 refresh ongoing.
So refresh is it's like Blaze in the Dark, how you have however much haul. That's the abstraction of the extra gear you brought. So refresh could be you refresh your rations, you brought extra food, or you refresh your gun, you brought extra bullets. I think that's based on your adaptability. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, refresh. The refresh rate here is ADP -1. Okay.
I'm looking at it, and if I'm not lost, then I might go with Scavenger for my tough spot. Okay. Those are the two that fit me, I think, the best.
I think to make the cult less heavy, that I'm gonna use the demon list from the Forgotten Realms.
Okay. Oh, now, is your demon gonna be Gratz? Is that his name? Is that the like?
Oh no, there's like 99 demon lords. Gratz is the Dark Prince
of like debauchery.
Is he debauchery?
I
don't
think
know. I don't want the debauchery. I want like a cleansing fire guy.
Oh, that might be Zariel?
Yeah, he's the Prince of Pleasure.
Yeah.
Zariel,
Zariel's not a demon. Zariel's a devil.
Oh. Pardon my French.
Get this right.
Decisions.
All right. Does it?
Fenceman it is.
What humanity track will you be cracked on?
That's a good question. Oh, that's on a different.
Yeah. So, Fenceman for some to help you sort of make that decision is that your backstory is basically you were literally on the fence, just going like this all day, stabbing zombies in the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think then trauma would be the main thing, right? Because I've seen friends die, and I've cleaved plenty of zombie heads. So
that makes sense.
I'm not counting on this character to stay alive the entire time we're playing either. That's.
I think I ever depend on my characters staying alive. Pilot them like it's a car that's on fire.
Eventually it'll explode, and it'll be fun when it does.
Marissa,
Oh, yes, please
go.
go.
I was going to ask you, who have you thought about in the group being your dependent, being your bro?
Yeah. The one thing I guess is if it has to be mutual, is there anyone who is willing? Just for a little bit of backstory, my intention was to basically I was sent up to go do something and then didn't get back in time for being called back or something like that. I essentially am assuming that this community saved me at some point, and therefore I decided, okay, I'm going to be a part of it. And once I was able to report in, I, did report in and said I'm here, and they're like, okay, good, stay here and do X, Y. So I would say that the most sensible thing would be, okay, who first found me? Are you? And that person going to be a dependent?
As far as I've gotten with backstory, I mean, I'm a local, so I've been here. I'm 40, like a 45-year-old local with ostensibly with 20-year-old children. So
I'm probably going on the younger side of things, backstory-wise, early 20s-ish, and not the and female.
Yeah, I was going for like 25-ish.
I was thinking I'm like 20, my character.
Yeah, so when the crash started, you were like 15, so just take your age minus 5. Because I think that's sort of the time frame we're playing with here.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know. Were you nursed back to health by the cult?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, the two people it makes most sense is, the scavenger and the fenceman, because those two
Yeah.
are
I've
the
picked
most.
scavenger for mine, I think, and decided on.
Yeah.
I think my character isn't going to be a good fighter. I'm kind of going to try and fill with them and try to have them be a jack of all trades. I'm not, other than putting a few points in painting, I'm not specifically tied to any individual skills. So if there's any empty areas, let me know. I mean, there's enough cars that I might get drive, and we're already getting gasoline imported,
Mm-hmm.
as an
So I
example.
guess, hey Spencer, do you mind me attempting to get adopted into your family?
That's not up to me.
It's up to the Indian version of a Blayla. I don't know what the.
Yeah.
Patriarch is a
Essentially.
fine word.
Are
Mhm.
you interested in being that dependent there, or no?
In
Mhm.
being a dependent?
The problem with my dependence is, 1, it can only be crew members. 2, it has to be mutual. I am your
Yeah.
dependent, you are my dependent.
And
Oh, it
not
has to be
necessarily
mutual.
you.
I didn't know it had to be
Yeah.
mutual.
Really kind of weird, and that's why I was originally saying, well, let's just do future dependence as this, and
I
the
mean,
original one.
I'm fine being.
Yeah.
I'm fine being a dependent. You just have to be accepting that you're one of your dependents worships the Demon Prince of the Depths, a primordial demon lord from the 89th layer of the Abyss that will flood the earth in unholy rapture, sinking all of the zombies to the depths.
So, do you want potential demons, family drama if Spence wants to add you to family drama, or the fenceman saved you? Which one of the three?
Let me look at what the. Here we go.
And I guess there's, again, that kind of brings on the next question.
Which tough spot is it?
Hey,
I'm missing
I'm
it.
That is, it's called Steward.
steward.
Okay,
Yeah.
I must have missed it because I looked at Stewart like 3
Page
times.
190 is what you.
Yeah, it's
Oh, here we go.
it's essentially you're undercover, but because you're undercover, like any sort of undercover operation, you end up going too deep, and you care about the people that you're fighting zombies with.
Oh, yeah. I don't see it. Doesn't say it has to be mutual, though. It says the character may only have other
It
takers in the
does.
crew as dependents.
It does say later on. I can get to that because I just saw it not that long. Let's see here. Takers of dependence on page 209.
So, oh, dependents in general must be mutual if they're between player characters?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And
How does that
when I was
work?
reading is why I'm like, wow,
So,
they're really
Like, what does it
describing.
say to do that?
it must be reciprocal. Money is time. Time is money. These are just the bullet points, and then there's
Yeah.
more. It isn't exclusive, so like you'll have vignettes when you heal humanity,
Mhm.
right? So just because Marissa has a vignette with you doesn't mean you can't have a vignette with your father, right?
Yeah.
You can use the same vignette to heal humanity, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, right?
Yes. But do we have to pay each other bounty or
No,
something?
the money you spend, the bounty you spend to heal is used on like dinner, a movie,
I see.
hanging out,
Okay.
right? Like it says it could be used for like if it's a romantic relationship, you use it for contraceptives, or if it's your friend, you use it to play video games, you use it to pay for the power to play video games, right?
Okay. Yes, then I am open to it. I don't know what it would look like. I don't know much about your character.
Yeah, no, maybe we just decide this one later as we kind of get a better feel for stuff.
Okay. But yes, no, I am open to that. To having you as an extra dependent. Does that mean I have to wait? Actually, hang on. That's not an extra dependent. That means one of my dependents out of my
One
two
of your
slot.
dependents would
Oh,
be
then
her.
no. Because specifically, I will have multiple younger siblings that I have to take care of, which is 2, and I only have 2 charisma, so I get 2 younger sibling dependents.
I'm not on
Unless
that yet.
I could make both, because they could just literally be like younger twins and both mechanically count as a single dependent, if they're always together.
I think it's more. I don't think that would work because it's like this person you are taking care of, like they cannot. It's less that they're always together and more like it is 2 mouths to feed.
They're small mouths.
They're small mouths.
Either way, honestly, I think at this point I'm kind of good with anything. We'll see what comes. I just realized that, hey, look, I chose something that's taking your guys' dependent slots. Sorry about that. If it helps for, the Hellfire, another thing to discuss was, for my retirement plan, I was kind of going along the lines of seeing, hey, instead of trying to get in there, can I just destroy the wall?
Yes, that is something you
I want
could do.
explosive. I want everyone to burn as badly as we are doing out here.
Okay,
Are you
so
my disgruntled wine
Spite.
ant?
wine ant. So other. Let's see here.
What's the next step? We're getting off
so,
track.
yeah.
Let's stay on the stepped program.
So
I'm
step
pretty
one
sure
is
missed the first step.
we missed step 1 because we went immediately to the things that mechanically helped. But
It's soft spot, weak spot, tough
weak spot, and
spot.
soft
Are what
spot.
we're working on now.
Yeah.
So
I think I have mine for all 3.
Okay, let's.
I got.
Does everyone have their
bookworm.
weekend soft spots first?
yes.
I think so.
I will in a second.
Okay. We'll
Just
start
figuring out
with
how to word it.
Indigo. Yeah.
I got bookworm as my weak spot, and my soft spot is once raised, Dagon will cleanse the world in unholy floods.
Is that a soft
Once
spot?
raised, Dagon will cleanse the world in unholy floods. Yep, that is my soft spot.
So a soft spot is a deep passion, belief, or sentiment.
Yep.
But it is meant to be more of an ideal rather than like a vague, more vague ideal.
I believe, yeah, this is what I want to raise Dagon to cleanse the world in unholy floods.
Can we make that more general?
Yes.
So why is Dagon coming to raise the world in unholy?
The aliens will save us eventually is a good soft spot.
Oh no, it's
the demons, the whatever.
Once raised was my point there. It's like the thing is, the passion is that I am working towards raising.
Okay. I don't think a soft spot can be a goal in any way.
It's not a goal. It's like.
I thought I said that.
No,
fulfilling a character's obligation to a soft spot financially, spiritually, or physically means gaining a point of will. So it sort of is an objective.
I don't think it's a specific objective. Mine, for example, is protect the young and weak, echoing the family matriarchal thing with that same ideal. And it is so when I protect the young and weak is a very vague when the opportunity comes up, if it comes up thing.
How about prepare for Dagon?
That's
I think is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it says a soft spot should be vague to remain applicable to a wide variety of situations. Because essentially you want it to. Your weak spot is supposed to get you in trouble, but your soft spot is more like if it's protecting the weak. Let's say for Spencer, there is a pile of money here and Babby here. You choose Babby over pile of money.
Yes. If they're both on like weighted traps and I take one and the other burns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm preparing for Dagon.
So if you have money versus thing that will help you summon Dagon.
Yeah, dark, bloody, like goblet of black fire. Then
crusted in barnacle. Like Dagon's a sea demon.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Is it a lake? Are you gonna summon him from the lake?
Yes.
Yes. That's great.
There's a reason you're at this enclave.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched Death Clock, but if you remember Musta Krakish, like that's.
I love Death Clock. Death Clock is so good.
My weak spot is resentful as well. That's what. So my character does not want to be here, and kind of hates being here, but in a not in a like outright angry way, in a resentful way.
Okay.
My weak spot here is easily angered, and my soft spot is everyone should be
Everyone should be what?
Equal.
Equal.
Blatant.
Mm.
There should be no rich people out safe on the lake, no rich people out safe behind their walls. They should be the same as what we are.
There should be no latent shack.
You're gonna pull everyone down to our level.
We're all
it is pulling everyone down to our level more than pulling other people up, but yes.
Okay.
I'm looking at your sheet. I don't see that in your soft spot.
Sorry, I will copy paste it now.
Oh, okay. I was like, where is that? I don't want to forget.
There we are.
Excellent.
My weak spot is going to be vengeful. Because there's a reason I was on that wall killing all those zombies. Those fuckers took my wife. And leading into that soft spot of vaguely protect the weak, but the weak meaning children. Everyone else should really be able to protect themselves.
Okay. So you and Spence kind of have the same soft.
Yeah, I have young and weak. I have a lot more, I would say, fairly broad version of...
Ben's character is more protect the meek.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, specifically just anyone.
I'll change mine to meek, then.
Just those who can't protect.
I'll change yours to
putting
young.
mine as children. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Because anybody that's of age should have learned their shit by now. We've been doing this long enough.
Yeah. Once you hit 18, I
You're
don't
an
care
adult,
about you
have
anymore.
a gun, goodbye.
No, if you can't survive, then you are useless to me because you're going to cause a child to die with your uselessness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Is there an age cap? Like, do you have the same thing for teenagers, or like what is the age that you stop caring?
Probably like an emotional maturity more than anything else. Like he has to know the kids, really. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with that is a good time for a break. That we have completed step 2.
We have, in fact, completed step 2. We'll be right back with the rest of our character creation in a few minutes. Thank you for watching.